Right, so first pick Lee Sin. So Canyon gets his Lee Sin. Very, very nice to see. So they respond with Jace and Ryze. I mean, Jace is a very, very powerful pick, so I can see why they're going it. Summit did okay on it in terms of his split push game, but early into the game it just didn't go too great. Let's see what DK are going to respond with. I think they'll probably respond with Syndra's ban, so they're going for the Diana Yasuo combo. I love to see this, especially considering DK's main kind of win conditions are around this core that they have of the jungle, mid, and ADC. So taking a super powerful 2v2 combo and there is extremely good for DK. So I am heavily favoring DK's draft right now. They've got early game Catalyst in Lee Sin. They've got the Diana and the Yasuo that are going to be doing a massive amount. They're going to take the Trundle here. Now I like to see this. Now this is something that I previously mentioned. I feel like a lot of teams are taking Trundle support only, but I think into things like Lee Sin that want to engage, Trundle is an extremely good jungler and he's very, very powerful. So I think this could potentially flex jungle and support. So I really like to see this because you still have this R5 for your support or your jungles. So, or I mean, it can be flex top as well, but they also have Jace and Ryze, which are going to be their solo laners. So it's either going to be in the jungle to respond to Lee Sin, which I think would be better drafting, or it's going to be support, and you know, it's going to go against something like Leona, or even if they pick something like Tam Kench. Now I really like what DK are doing here though. With their drafting, they're prioritizing getting solid solo lane picks. So this actually allows bot lane to have a really good matchup. Now we can see also that it's being kind of replicated on the opposite side of the draft with LSB. And Sandbox are also opting to prioritize their solo lanes first. Now the Rakan I don't like here purely because by taking Rakan here you reveal that Trundle is jungle and you get rid of your flex, which can be very, very valuable. Because now they're gonna have to pick ADC in R5, which they do get Leona, which again, Leona's a very powerful support, probably the best support in the game. Even on this patch 11.15, she's been at the top for the longest amount of time. 103 picks on that champion is crazy. So they're going to take the Varus just so that he can space a lot from the Leona so that she can't engage on him as much, which is a very, very important factor to this kind of to this bot lane. Now they're gonna just pick the support. I just want to see something that can roam, even something like the Braum. I'd love to see something like a Bard here, to be honest. Like, but I don't think it's gonna happen. So we'll probably just see. I mean, they have taken the Trundle away and got the Leona, so that's what usually respond into that Leona. But right now, I think they're going to go with the Braum. I think it's the best case scenario, and it gives a nice knock-up for the Yasuo too. So yeah, so they do go with the Braum. It's the only real thing that you can go there. There's not really much else you can go. Effort again, showing the Nasus. There's definitely some kind of funny kind of interaction there. Now R5 Callista, I mean, it is okay, but as soon as you ult somebody in as Callista, then the Braum is just going to instantly ult you both, and there's nothing really that you can do there. So, not a big fan of it. I would have much preferred to see something else that can deal with the Varus. Even something like an Ezreal here, I think would have been fine, because it would have allowed the... Oh, sorry, Ezreal was banned, my bad. So, I mean, I don't think the Callista's the play there, but it can work out very heavily. I think Callista as a champion is way too, you either win early or you lose, and when you're playing in such a long range bot lane like Varus, I think it'd be very kind of rough. Although Callista does have the ability to kind of gap close on top of the Varus as long as she can dodge the Braum Q. So they do have a lot of potential to do a lot in bot lane, and I like the bot lane matchup is good for the side of Sandbox, don't get me wrong, but I think the overall kind of combo that the Damwon have with their comp right here is just too scary, in my opinion, for them to ever lose this game. So right here we We can see that they're just upped into standard 5-point. They've taken Lee Sin in top as well, which I didn't mention previously. Lee Sin top is a very, very strong pick, and it was on 11.15 as well before he got his E nerfed again. So his E was originally buffed, which forced him into a solo lane, even though he was already kind of viable in a solo lane due to the amount of XP you can get, meaning that the early game power that Lee Sin provides can also be provided into the lane, and also because he's an energy champion, he recovers his energy very easily, and he's not gated by things like mana, which the Jace is. So again, we're going to see Canyon going with those boots, which means, you know, he's not going to be getting early soaks, which again, we can see it there. So if we have a look at the runes, he does have the boots. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of it because I don't know, I'm just not great. I think the tenacity here is okay because Leona alone will warrant that amount of tenacity due to the fact that if you don't take it, she's going to lock you down. We see it in the Lee Sin as well. It's not really going to help him inside the laning phase because Jace's E is a displacement, so it's not going to be reduced. But he has gone with those defensive secondaries. We have Yasuo has just gone with the Alacrity just because he can just gap close on the Ryze even if he uses his W. So this is going to be an extremely difficult lane for Ryze to actually play into, especially at level 6 when Diana's got that ultimate available. We also have Varus standard runes, completely normal. I don't really like the biscuits as much. I would have liked to see Varus here go Futures Market and get an earlier reset for his serrated Dirk, since that lethality is the earlier you get it, the more you can start poking them down heavily with Qs on Varus, which is something that I think they should be looking to do. They do have that big ultimate as well though, again for the team fight. So DK's team fighting potential here means that even if they fall behind early, they will still win the game, just because their team fight is way too powerful and the enemy team just don't really have enough to play into that. Now, we also have runes on the side of Sandbox, and the Ryze, again, I really don't like this water walking. I think Gathering Storm just gives you so much more, and when you're looking to scale anyway and get into that late game point, the more damage that you get later on is amazing. Like, I think it's 40 minutes into the game, you get 2,500 gold worth of stats from Gathering Storm completely for free. So that's crazy. That's an insane amount of stats just completely for free. And, you know, I mean, 40 minutes in these kind of games is kind of unexpected, but I think that even at 30 minutes, the amount you get is unbelievably high. Callista, kind of standard runes. And then Leona, she's gone Dematerializer just so that they can try and kind of do some kind of cheese with the cannon. They'll obviously demat the cannon and then jump on top of them instantly. So that's potentially what they're looking to do there. But so overall right now, what we are kind of looking for is just kind of a slightly less aggressive early game. Now, Fate is actually getting a massive amount of damage into Showmaker right here. He's given up so much here just to get to that that ward, but he does have that second win, so he can maybe actually heal it back up. So this is the first time Showmaker showed his Yasuo, which is very interesting. Again, Varus is just going to look for these pokes, but he can't really do that much because he has his E first too, which is completely fine, obviously, but Kalista is always going to trade more back, so I really don't like that they're trying to force plays in bot lane right now. It's really bad. They're doing it because Leona doesn't really get much agency until level 2, but I think if Leona would have just taken an E first here, then she would have been able to actually pinpoint this Varus out and go on, like, just pop off. So the bot lane is definitely the weak point. The bot lane is the weak point, and it's not because of ghosts, it's because of Beryl. Now, when you're playing support, your early game kind of laning phase will determine how much the ADC can do, because early game you are in control of the lane as the support. So as Ghost, like, he's just looking to play safe, and obviously solo queue, like, if your support is bad, the lane is going to be very difficult, but if you can just not die and get to your mid game points and manage your waves, then it's actually much easier to carry. Now we do get an early gank on top lane again for Khan. Now like Sandbox really love playing around Summit, and this is very, very evident by the amount of pressure that they're putting in here. Diana does manage to actually oh, she doesn't sneak the crab because it's not up yet, but she is in position to potentially do something. We have an instant TP coming in from Khan in the mid lane to see if he can actually get anything, but now they're just going to walk up and see if they can actually stop this Trundle getting the crab maybe. So no, they don't manage to. So what Diana's going to do, she's just going to go straight into bot side, get the crab that the Braum has already gone ahead and scouted for her. Braum will also get rid of the shield on it before she even arrives, which means she doesn't need to use a smite to drop that shield. She can use a smite to finish it off and last hit it, which is obviously very, very important. So they're actually backing away from it here because the Yasuo doesn't have priority, but they do have a pincer on them right now. So if Yasuo moves, they can maybe even force it 3v3, but never mind. The TP comes in from Summit and he's just going to run them down. So they went from a pincer situation to actually getting pincered. Showmaker does manage to get that crab, but Diana's very far behind off that. It doesn't really matter too much though, because Diana's role in this game isn't going to be a primary magic like damage dealer. Her main role, even though she is AP, so I'd like to see him go very heavily into the penetration, very heavily into main AD. If he goes Oblivion Orb this game, then this is a really, really big issue. But overall, he is going to be kind of that setup for the Yasuo later on into the game. So if he doesn't get too far ahead for himself early, it doesn't really matter too much. He's just going to be looking for that kind of mid to late game setup with that Yasuo, and that's what he's going to play it around as much as possible. So Khan actually comes for a little dive on mid, or not dive, sorry, a little gank on mid, but he does miss the Q, and it means that Showmaker has to use his flash to get that kill, which is extremely unfortunate, because if Khan would have just hit that, it wouldn't have happened. Now, I do also dislike how Showmaker is backing away from the wave here. He's going to use his TP to come in and then push it in, but I think with the Braum there, he has the safety to just crash it in and then reset, like, because right now if this Ryze places properly, it's just going to freeze this wave, and then the Trundle can just come and kill Showmaker instantly. So the Canyon actually needs to be looking to be around mid lane soon, because I can't see, because we're not looking. Beryl is actually holding the wave bot lane though, so that it will freeze for Varus, which is really nice to see. We're going to get a replay here of what happened. So Braum threw his Q at effort, but it didn't really matter. Now, if they would have potentially looked to turn early, that would have been okay. I mean, Beryl is still level 2 though, but the Yasuo is there. Leona does use their flash to jump on, and then the TP comes in out of Summit on a bot ward too. So now he manages to just come in and get a massive amount of damage on. So he does use his TP, and Lee Sin does end up pushing in top, and then getting a response with a mid lane gank here. But as we can see, never mind. The mid lane gank was very good, but he missed his Q, which made it a little bit worse than what it should have been. It should have been a clean 1-for-0 with nothing expended, but it meant that Showmaker actually had to use his flash there, so it's a little bit unfortunate. But what we're going to see now is the Callisto is just looking for pressure. Now what I want right here is, even though the Trundle is top, I want him to kill off the Lee Sin here, or the Summit, and now I want to see Callista and Leona both rotate into the Dragon right now, because the Callista already has basically a smite on her E, and even though she'll lose a little bit of this lane pressure, getting that Infernal Dragon is going to be very, very important. There's no time to really do it now, and Showmaker is also walking down bot. Maybe he would have gone and disrupted it anyway, but he's also coming in for they're not going to dive bot lane, not this stage of the game just yet, especially since they just need to scale a little bit more in these situations. So right now, Beryl's actually looking to potentially get something. He does manage to get it on his Q on the Callisto, but obviously he isn't in a position where he can follow up on that. Leona just uses that blast gun, which means actually that's kind of good for them, because it means the cheese ganks aren't going to be as viable. So this is the replay of this. So Showmaker gets a knock up on Jace, but Khan still misses a Q on a knocked up target. So that's like very, very important, because that means that Khan is not entirely comfortable with the champion that he's playing. And then we see that top fight where he, like they just ended up killing Khan off, and that's that. Now, Bot lane, they are getting a nice reset off. Prince is low on HP and mana, so right now I really want to see Diana clearing her camps towards this dragon and potentially going for dragon, but I think she's going to prioritize the Herald instead, purely because at this stage of the game, like, you do have a very, very hard team fighting comp, and if you get, like, the more gold you get early into the game, the easier it is for you to snowball a lead and actually just win the game later on. So I do think she's going to prioritize the Herald instead of the dragon, which I do think she's starting right now. One dragon is not as important as a potential 1,000 gold if you manage to get a kill and use a herald in lane. Effort is also up there, and they're just outside of this vision range. But we do actually have a potential 5v5 this early into the game. Everybody's grouped together. This is going to get messy real soon. They have a lot of poke on the side of the sandbox, but they actually managed to get the herald. And now I want to see them back out and just go for this dragon. Diana can take a blue and a gromp at the same time and then just go straight into dragon and also get there as well. So I don't think that's something that she's going to go for really here. Ghost and Showmaker just looking to push this wave in mid. But yeah, so as we can see, Diana here double clearing her blue and her gromp away. She might look to come top lane and potentially do something there, but I don't think that's good because then it gives away the dragon to the Trundle and the Callista. So what I want to see her doing here is not go top lane, even though it's on a slow push. I actually want to see Can reset here, let the Jace push the wave back into him, and then just come back. So Canyon's actually staying exactly out of vision range, which means he was actually thinking about going for that top, which I think is extremely bad. Like, even though this dragon is, right now it's at 10 minutes and we haven't got one, like, it's still an Infernal, it's still going to give you additional damage, which when your entire comp revolves around Diana Yasuo blowing people up, I think that's completely fine to prioritize that dragon early. So she only has Krugs available on the map right now, so I'm not entirely sure why she's pathing towards top, maybe to get that Scuttle Crab, but Scuttle Crab isn't actually going to give her anything, except, you know, the gold and XP. But, you know, maybe it spots Trundle walking through or anything like that. She does pretty much insta-kill it, so it's not too bad. And now she's actually going to look to punish this Ryze. So Ryze, no idea where Diana is and still pushing on that. It's kind of risky. I think she should have just gone earlier, though. I mean, does Ryze have a... He does have a stopwatch, so this is why she didn't go earlier. So that's my bad. She didn't go because he has a stopwatch. He didn't stopwatch, and then Trundle gets on top. So actually really controlled and really good play by Canyon. Not too forced too hard. He is getting close to this rocket belt now, which is going to be huge. He is roughly 20 CS up. Well, he is over 20 CS up on the Trundle right now, which is very, very good for him just because he's been permanently kind of clearing. Whereas the Trundle has been ganking a lot more, especially this top lane. McCann has been doing pretty well to avoid dying to pressure top, which is honestly what I think they need. So Can has been playing mechanically iffy but good at avoiding getting ganked. Okay, so a nice insect. Okay, so he gets a really nice insect off in there. I went really lightheaded for a moment. So he actually got a really, really good insect off in there, which ended up resulting in Diana getting a kill. Unfortunately, he still did die because Jace did a massive amount of damage to him. But overall, pretty good. The fact that Can is so good at absorbing this pressure top as well, I think is really, really important. Because that means that the only real opening that you have to punish DK is going to be Beryl. So I think for any teams looking to take down DK, they have to punish Beryl as much as possible. I feel like it's extremely difficult to punish Showmaker because he plays so well, but Beryl is consistently playing bad. So here we can see this play go on again. So we see a nice insect, but then Lee Sin instantly jumps in, whereas he should have just waited a little bit for Diana to do more damage and then jumped in, and that would have been way better because Lee Sin's Q is an execute, so it does more damage at the lower HP they are. So if he would have just waited for Diana, then he would have actually been able to just one-hit him when he reactivates his Q. So I'm not sure if it was actually the Eclipse Shield that kind of threw him off there, but overall I think he just played it very, very... very quick and very messy, which is not great to see. Hold on. So at this point of the game, if I'm DK, again, I'm very, very happy they have a better scaling comp, especially because this Kalista pick bot. Kalista pick really hasn't done as much as it should have. Otherwise, you know, it would have been way, way better for them. So this is a, a huge advantage for DK. And this is one of the things, I think they win very heavily in their draft. Okay, so now Khan manages to knock him up, and then instantly Canyon just grabs him with the ultimate. So very, very nice to see. Now they're actually putting some of this pressure back on the Jace and allowing Diana to snowball. Now Diana is actually getting very close to her Rocket Belt, and she has also got a Dark Seal, which means hopefully when she gets a 9 stack, she's actually going to upgrade that into a Medjay's for even more Magic Pen. Now this is something that we haven't really seen too often, because players don't really want to force that in competitive, just because you can lose a lot of gold by losing your stacks. But overall, I think they're in a position they can do this. As long as she picks up a stopwatch at the same time of the Medjay's, then she'll be completely fine. And then obviously she can turn that into a Zhonya's, which will be very, very good for her. As we can see this again, Khan ward hops over to ult and then Q, which is very important because the ult ends up displacing them, which can be reduced by tenacity, so that you can land your Q very, very easily. So this is one of the ways you want to be playing Lee Sin, instead of doing what most people do, opening up with a Q that is very easy to sidestep and then not being able to gap close whatsoever because of that. So we do see that from plates alone, DK has 640 gold up, whereas Sandbox only managed to get 1 plate in the top lane. So again, we can see this mid lane having so much pressure, it's unreal. Now, I'm very surprised that Rise hasn't died in this laning phase, but the thing is, I don't expect Showmaker to be insane on Yasuo, because he's not really playing it as a... If you were playing Yasuo in solo queue, like you're playing around, okay, I've got to use my own knockups, I've got to get my own advantages in lane as early as possible, whereas in this game he doesn't really need to, because of the comp that he has around the Yasuo. So all he really needs to focus is getting to the shield bow. He has gone for the early crit cloak, which is very good because it gives double the amount of crit, so you're getting a nice juicy 30% crit off that, which makes the item very, very good in terms of overall gold. So here, they've jumped on the Rise. He used his stopwatch to get away, but the Varus gets a massive amount of poke without lethality. Kalista takes in the Leona with her ultimate and then flashes away, which is a really good use of flash. Now they're trying to fight like crazy over this Herald when there's no point whatsoever. We can see that bot lane Sandbox is just losing gold for no real reason. And they lost the Herald as well. Now, at this point, Herald isn't going to do a massive amount. Obviously, they're going to be able to break this tier 1 mid, maybe tier 2 mid, and make it hard for anybody to farm in the mid lane. But overall, I think they're just doing the Herald because they're strong and they want them to potentially fight them. Again, Canyon is very, very big. He's 1.2k gold up, and Khan is going for another kill. Obviously, another miscue. That is quite a hard skill shot to land on Lee Sin. But over and over, he's missed them consistently, even on knocked up targets. So I don't think Khan is too comfortable with Lee Sin at this point of the game, which this is only 11.15 as well. So it's not like the patch is insanely different. This is only 3 patches behind right now. So very interesting to see. So the Rise are behind to catch the Lee Sin. They invested so much into getting this Lee Sin, though, that I really don't think it's that worth it, especially considering Showmaker is going to get... Oh, Canyon, sorry, is going to get killing bot lane. So Canyon Showmaker are just this deadly 2v2 combo, and then Ghost is just there doing his job perfectly as well. So again, like, DK are just around these 3 incredibly strong laners, and that's kind of... their identity as a team. Like, it's not necessarily that they're focusing one lane out, they're just playing the 2v2 mid jungle as best they possibly can. Okay, so they finish this tower off quick, and Diana gets it behind and manages to ult the Rise, which is so important because Yasuo ends up getting on top of it now. Now Yasuo gets another knock-up on the Kalista, and nothing just run her down. Ghost is going to do so much damage with his Q now. It's going to kill Kalista. Oh my god. She had the smallest amount of HP left. If she wasn't taking that potion right there, she dies. So that's very, very good for the side of DK, and a really clean fight. Ghost is incredibly consistent with what he kind of does. Khan is kind of inting, trying to fight this Jace for no real reason. But, I mean, I think the goal was to stop him resetting, but they're not going to force the inhib yet anyway, because DK aren't quite in a game-winning situation right now, so they don't really want to go for that inhib just yet, because they can't really close the game out at the moment. So really nice controlled play to not go for that inhib, and you really, really like to see it. So again, here we can see that they just instantly jump on this Kalista and just completely one-shot her, which is, you know, very, very good to see considering. So now we can see this ult again with the Diana on the Yasuo in the backline, and then they just completely rip through their entire team. Kalista actually jumps into the Yasuo Q, which means that she takes so much damage. If Ghost would have got one more auto one in there, she would have died. But like I said, that potion that she ticked really, really did save her life. Here, Khan, I think he's just trying to stop the recall. But again, missed Qs over and over and over. It really shows that Khan is not confident on. He's really not confident on this Lee Sin pick, which I mean, hopefully for their sake, that's better now. And this is really, really good though. Rise is using his ultimate in order to get the minions from one tower to the next, which is actually going to mean that they can get this tower too. And the siege is really, really good. So now they're going for a base race, but this is really bad for Sandbox, because they can actually get, DK can get 2 inhibs off this siege, whereas they can only potentially get 1, and that's if nobody resets to stop clearing that wave as well. So now they just give away this inhib, and what I'd actually like to see here is DK just instantly resetting and then sending the Yasuo into bot lane with his TP up to just clear out that wave and get that second inhib, and then the rest of the team can just potentially force Baron, sorry. Now, Dragon is only 2 at 20 minutes, so we still need another 15 minutes before we can actually get to a soul, which honestly, at this point in this game, I don't think we're going to get another 15 minutes. I think this is going to come down to one really big team fight now, where they're going to get really big Dana and Yasuo ult, and then they're just going to end the game off it, since they've already got this inhib top, so they've already got that pressure from top inhib just slowly pushing into them. Right, so we can just say DK is just rushing down this Baron right now. They just want to completely close out this game, and if they manage to get this Baron, that's really good. A really big arrow from the Varus though, but I think they're just going to back out, get mid-prio again, and potentially look to just get this dragon secured. It is a ocean dragon, so I mean the soul is good for them, but I really don't think they're going to want to take this game any longer than 15 minutes, to be honest. Like, I think DK are just looking to close this out now, since they have a, you know, a sizable, it's a decent lead, but it's more so the nature of how their champions work. DK at this stage, with a slight lead, even though if it's like 2k, that's still enough of a lead that their comp and their team fight is just infinitely better. And this is going to be really important as well, because with this infinitely better team comp, they're literally just going to blow them up now. So what we're going to see, so Sandbox are actually going to get control over this Baron side right now. They'll put some wards down, but Khan is actually just instantly taking this dragon while the rest of them are on the opposite side of the map. So DK are actually just going to use this pressure to keep pushing in mid lane while he gets dragon, and then they're just going to rotate onto the Baron. So this is really, really nice to see from Khan, and this shows that even though he's behind, and even though he isn't mechanically great on this champion, he's still putting in as much effort as he can, and he's still putting in work in order to win this game. So even though behind, I think Sandbox is still really, really putting in the effort here. Okay, so Ride's ult used the Kalista ults to get them back, but they already secured the dragon. Now they're just way too ahead right now. There's not really that much they can do. Croco uses flash to get out, and Showmaker's just kind of hovering around the back. Khan jumps. He does miss the Q again though, so he can't really do anything. Showmaker just dodges that accelerated gate Q from the Jace, so that's very, very important. But overall, we're just waiting. So one of the things here now is Canyon actually has 10 stacks in his Magi. So if he upgrades this, it's more than 100% gold efficient. And then he can continue snowballing. And Medjai's also gives penetration due to the fact that he has a rocket belt. So I'd really like to see him go Medjai's here. He's not going to get 25 stacks, don't get me wrong, but he is going to get a really, really big team fight. And, you know, if he kills one person, he gets more damage for the next person. And then kills them, he gets more damage for the next. By the time he's chasing down that fifth person, as long as he survives, he's literally going to one-shot them. So I'd really like to see him get Medjai's here. Like, really, really bad. But he is going to go with a Blighted Jewel, which, again, is fine. He's going for the Void Staff, which, again, does synergize very, very well with this kind of penetration build. But I would just love to see that Medjai's. Now, actually, Sandbox's mid-fate is the highest level in the game right now, and this is because of the amount of CS he has and the fact that he's been soaking up all of his CS from the side lanes. Now, this is important as well because he's been clearing the top lane as much as possible, but Summit actually has the most gold. He's very, very big right now, again, because he's been soaking up these side waves, and he also has 5 kills, so Summit's actually playing pretty good this game. He did get hard camped by Croco though, so that is the reason behind it, and Jace is just an extremely powerful champion, so that's why they're doing that. But so what we're looking for now is, I mean, so I'd like to say this game is over and DK win, but I mean, I do see a world where Sandbox can actually win this. They've got massive amounts of poke in the Jace, so if they poke them out enough before they get the Leona ulting in, that knock-up is also going to combine with Leona's CC, which, off the top of my head, I think is about 5 seconds of CC in total, so obviously that's a considerable amount, so she could potentially lock down the Yasuo or the Diana to the point that they can't really move. Now, Yasuo doesn't actually have tenacity, and he has no tenacity on him right now. Diana does, so it's going to be very difficult for her to fully CC Diana, but the Yasuo is a potential target, or the Varus, but she's never really going to get close to the Varus. Now, Showmaker is also very hard to pin down, and he does have his Death Dance as well, which is going to reduce a massive amount of damage from the Jace Trundle and the Kalista. But overall, Sandbox really showing that they're not willing to give up whatsoever. 3 towers down, and 3k gold as well, but they're just really not looking to give up, even though the compositional difference is huge in this game. Solo laners are doing very well from the side of Sandbox, though. They're playing very well. So what they need to be looking to do now is Leona needs to move into the jungle and get vision, which is what I actually think they're pinging for. They need to move into the jungle as a unit now, get complete vision, and then look to get a pick. Now, this is one of the opportunities where teams really need to punish Beryl, because as we can see right now, Beryl is walking in the jungle completely blind. So they needed to punish him earlier than this before he actually got time to put this ward down, since it's very obvious that they might be in that tri-bush there. So overall, you know, I think this is where they need to punish the fact that Beryl, you know, is known to kind of int a little bit, and they need to punish that as much as they can, which I really don't think they're doing right now. So now we can see that Braum is looking to push in now. So they're going to try and clear the vision away from this dragon right now, as Sandbox are just trying to rush it. Like I said, they do have a smite and they have a Callista, but the Callista just isn't auto-attacking the dragon, which means Diana gets to go in really early smite from Croco, but an amazing ultimate from Diana. Holy, gets the Yasuo directly in top of 3 or 4 members of the enemy team there, and they just completely wiped the comp. Now, this is one of the reasons why I said I'd love her to get Medjay, is because she'd do so much right now, and now all of a sudden she's just going to kill the Callista as well. Amazing play by Canyon. Like, that was by far the game-winning play, and very clean, because he managed to get Yasuo in the middle of them. I really hope they do a replay of that, to be honest, even though I'm not sure they will, since the game is looking kind of over. Maybe they will, though, while DK get double inhibs and then respawn. Recall, unless they just don't go for the double. They're going to go for this mid lane tower, I think, and then they're going to maybe just go for the triple inhib reset into Baron, which is a very safe play to go for, and I really hope I see them do it here. They might actually have to leave this top inhib, since the enemy team are respawned now, and they do need to reset and spend the gold that they got from that team fight. So if Sandbox actually engage with them here and get a team fight, then they could potentially win, considering there's so much down on the side of DK. But now the ultimate from the Diana is back now. They're just wailing on her as much as they can, trying to completely one-shot her. She uses a rocket belt to get away, and another huge ultimate from Diana. 4-man. Oh, this is insane. Like, Canyon is actually a monster. Like, 2 4-man ultimates in a row to just end the game out, and they had a huge amount of gold in their pockets right now. So this was insane to see. This combo that they've got, I don't even think it's just the Diana Yasuo combo. I think Canyon's Diana alone is more than good enough to just be prioritized as a solo pick. So, oh god, he was about to die there as well to the fountain. So an amazing game from DK, so clean. Like, that was incredibly good to see, like, how they played around that. But this team they mean business. They are scary, and they're looking to win again. Like, this team is extremely good, and Canyon is a monster. So we're gonna end that recording for you.